Hey, this is Bryan Allain here with Jon Acuff from Stuff Christians Like and Quitter. And Jon was kind enough to do an exclusive video just for the Killer Tribes Conference. So thanks for being here, Jon.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a bunch of people assembled here who are all trying to build killer tribes. And you obviously did that through Stuff Christians Like, the website. But I want you to talk for a second about the work that you put in kind of before. You talk about that week that your blog went viral, but talk a little bit about the week before, or not the week before, but everything before that week went viral that led you up to that point.
Well, my first endeavor into blogs was in about, I think it was 2001. A friend and I started a site called sweetraymond.com, which was a pretty awesome name looking back on it. We had stickers. The first thing you want to do when you don't have anybody reading what you do is print stickers, because that's a great way, or a t-shirt. We had t-shirts too. Nice. I had t-shirts and stickers and no content. So that was pretty smart. But we did that in 2001, and I tried, and then it just bombed. And then I started a site called Prodigal John and another site called 97 Seconds with God, and wrote for about a year in pretty much silence. You know, I had 50 people reading, most of them were my mom. And at the time, I wasn't excited about that. I didn't feel like that was a great experience, but looking back on it now, I felt like I had a chance to make some mistakes when nobody was looking. And so it felt like the gift of invisibility. And so that, for me, like, we want our thing to blow up so quickly, but what, like, I talk about this in Quitter, the minute you have a dream, the passion for your dream grossly outweighs your talent. And so you've got to get talented enough. Like, you don't want attention initially. You want to get amazing before a lot of people know about you. And we had a videographer over our house the other day shooting some videos. My wife said when he left, I hope he doesn't get too big too fast. And I said, what do you mean? She said, because he's good. He's not amazing yet. And if he gets popular now, it'll be the wrong path. And so that's kind of the path we took.
I've been practicing.
Thanks, Trip. Here's a question, and here's also a comment. Never preface a question with, here's a question. Do you feel like your tribe would be different if one of your different blog experiments had gone viral? Say it hadn't been Stuff Christians Like. Do you feel like that would totally change the way your tribe looks, or do you feel like ultimately your tribe is a reflection of you and it would have been the same?
I think that over time you get to the core of who you are. So, like, you see a lot of people that'll start with a one theme, like Stuff Christians Like was Christian satire. And now JonAcuff.com, I write about leadership and, you know, hustle and kind of how do you turn a day job into a dream job. And so my hope is that regardless of the execution, that it'll still be true of who I am. So I think the people reading would have looked differently. Like, the people that read JonAcuff.com are different than StuffChristiansLike.net. And it wasn't a one-to-one transfer. I couldn't go, hey, you've known me for 3 years as, you know, side hugs and don't interlink your fingers at church when you hold hands. I want this, and I want us to end the, you know, race when it's over. I don't want to be the close. You know, I don't need a squeeze of closure. Like, let's not do that. You know me as that guy. I couldn't go, and now take me as this leadership guy. You know, now take me as this. So for me, it's just a transition. And I think if you stay true to who you are, some people will come along. You'll definitely lose some of the initial tribe. And we talked to Seth Godin about that at this event and said, is it possible to transition one tribe to another one? And he said, you know, who here saw Gwyneth Paltrow's movie where she was a country singer and nobody raised their hand? He was like, so is it impossible? Is it difficult? Yeah. And that, I wanted to kind of throw up in my seat because I was trying to do that at the time.
So do you view yourself as having one tribe with people that have different interests?
What?
Or, that was Tyler Stanton shirtless. As I was saying, do you feel...
I would say muscleless as well.
I would agree with that. Do you feel like you have one tribe that just has different interests across the board, or do you really see yourself as having two separate tribes?
No, I would try. I guess I'd look at it as, if the core things I'm trying to write about are true, then they're true in both settings. So I think there's overlap, but I'm deliberate about writing about certain things on one blog versus the other. Whether that falls down into like they're completely separate tribes, I don't know. It's a great question because I'm in the middle of that right now, and for me, and part of it, you see this happen with musicians all the time where they go, okay, I want to do an acoustic album, but I've told people for the last 5 albums, I'm all about hard rock, and now I'm going to do this. And you can't expect that same group to come with you in the same intensity or the same focus. And so that's the challenge of I think growing anything, because eventually you're like, whatever your tribe is, your niche, you're like, I'm kind of tired of writing about chocolate milk. Like I had an amazing chocolate milk run.
Right.
Like our blog covered every inch of chocolate milk.
Right.
But I hate chocolate milk. Like I'm tired. I want to write about, cats now.
Yeah.
And so I think every tribe goes through that transition eventually.
And speaking of things that are just in their infancy, we've talked before about how social media is kind of still in its infancy. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you've been learning, even the past few months, about how to use social media as a tool to build your tribe?
Well, I think just the patience of it. Like social media offers the myth that you can blow up overnight, and then that's all that needs to happen. Like you get the double rainbow video, and then it's like rocket to the moon.
Yeah.
But it's not. Yeah. Like you'll have a little bit of a hit, and like it's easy to have an initial viral hit. It's harder 4 years later to still be growing that tribe. Like the first week of SCL was really successful, and then a lot of people came, but that's not the week that allowed me to continue to do this. Like the weeks where the traffic was down, but I continued to write. Those are the things. And so just for me, learning about patience, also learning about how do you interact with people you don't really know, like, and favors you ask and the equity you build. Because sometimes people I don't know will ask me for equity, and I don't have a relationship with them. And I kind of look at the social media influence as I need to be, like when I recommend something, I want that person to trust that I'm recommending it because I've used it, I believe in it, I know this person's heart, versus they ask me to retweet something, and I don't know if they're stealing the money, I don't know what's going, and I hate telling people no. Like that makes me feel like a huge jerk. Right. And so just figuring out where's the line, how do you deal with kind of social media equity and relationship, and that's fuzzy. Yeah. Trying to figure that out. Those are some of the things I've been learning personally.
And in terms of tools, social media is a great tool to build your tribe, but what are some other things outside of social media that people can do? Like, do you think there's value in going to conferences and meeting people in real life, networking, that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, you don't know where the relationship's going to go. Like whether you want to be a speaker or start a business or whatever the nature of your tribe is, we can't go, okay, this crowd isn't a good fit for me because there might be a guy there that's going to be connected to the other guy and the other guy. And so like for me, going to conferences, guest posting on other blogs, like one of the things I'm really passionate about is getting outside the circle. Like when you have a tribe, you get kind of this tightly knit circle, and you can try to communicate with that circle all day and it'll stay roughly the same size. You've got to be deliberate about, I need to reach the 99% of people on the planet that don't even know I exist. Right. So whether that's a guest post somewhere, or whether it's you go to a conference that's outside of your niche, because you'll just kill that niche. Like eventually you'll wear that niche out, and the tribe will feel it and will go, hey, you tweeted 19 times to buy your book. Like we were down the first 2 tweets. Right. Like the last, who are you talking to? Like we've already heard it and we've decided not to buy it, or we bought it. And you're just killing us with, you need to take those tweets and that message outside your tribe and let them discover you, And so that's, I think, doing events like that. I think you have to be careful. One of the myths for me with social media is that online influence translates directly to offline. It doesn't. Like that's a painful lesson to learn. And I would love for people who I'm first now looking at the camera. I never know where to talk. It's so like I'm either making eye contact and it feels like an NBC, like a now I'm Matt LeBlanc and I'm talking about paying your taxes, because that's exactly what I know. But for me, you just have to be really careful with that. And I learned that a number of painful ways where you go, wow, you have 100,000 readers or whatever. That'll mean like 10,000 people will come to my live event. Right. Like, of course they'll do that. And then you have that and you learn the painful lesson of, okay, online is this big. Yeah. And I'll give you 30 seconds of my day to read a blog, but buying something, now you're talking money, buying something and showing up on a Friday night. Yeah. But, and you kind of, it goes down, and that's a depressing lesson to learn if you believe that Twitter followers should equate directly to attendees or, and I've seen friends that'll do fundraisers and go, I got a huge blog, I'll do this fundraiser, and then they'll sell, 14 t-shirts, and they'll be like, why did it not work? Right. And you go, it's real world influence now, and it's shaped differently. So that's been a lesson I've learned a couple times in a not fun way.
So last thing, got a bunch of people sitting there watching this who are in various stages of building their tribe. Some people haven't even started yet, but they're excited to. Some people feel like they've made a lot of progress, but there's still a lot way to go. What would be one piece of encouragement that you could give to folks? I mean, bloggers, writers, artists, entrepreneurs, ministry leaders, the whole gamut. What is some advice that you would give them?
Well, for me, I'd give them 2. One, I think it's really important that you're here at Killer Tribes. Like, from my side of things, I look at what you do as inspiration. Like you hustle, like you are working the tribe thing so well. And so for me, like we talk all the time, and it's not I'm calling to give you advice. Like it's a back and forth conversation where I'm going, I hadn't even thought about doing that. Like you did a 1-star review post where you talked about your 1-star reviews. Like that was brilliant. Like what a great thing to do. And so for me, I think I'm really encouraged that you're even here, because I think you get it like few people on the planet get it, and that's why it was easy to go, let me do the video. That's awesome, and it feels like we're in an NBA locker room, like an unsuccessful one. Like maybe this is a WNBA franchise, and we're like, well, the Storm just didn't bring it tonight. I mean, what do you think about that? Lisa Leslie kind of come out of retirement.
Well, we'll beat the Mystics tomorrow.
Yeah, I just named 100% of the WNBA stars I know, but I think the other point of advice I'd give you is that whatever you do, whatever tribe you're building right now needs to be built off your core passion. Like if you build a tribe to make money, if you build a tribe to get affirmation, to get fame, like eventually those things wear out. Like eventually, like with money angle, you either get a lot and you realize it's not enough and it doesn't matter, or you don't get any and you stop building your tribe.
Yep.
So you've got to build your tribe based on, this is who I am, this is the core of what I'm all about, so that when it stinks, and it will, and you wake up in Missouri someday and it's 4 a.m. and you're catching a flight and you made $14 and spoke to 17 people and you go, why am I doing this? The reason has to be the love of it, the passion of it, the core of it. You can't do it to go, I got to get to this level on this stage by now. I got to have this many units sold. I've got to do all this. Like all of that will fade away, especially if you really are passionate and grind it out. Like building a tribe is a grind. It is just, and it whoops you. And Bryan and I will text back and forth all the time about, hey, this just happened. This is not fun, because I was in that same position of having a job. We talked about that before. Like I would go talk to conferences about social media and then come back, and my job didn't want to hear ideas on social media. And they go, what do you know about social media? And then that moment I wasn't like, God, thank you for that gift of patience you're teaching me. That is angelic of you. Yeah. It was frustrating. So there's going to be so many of those moments. So I'd say don't think you're the only one that has those moments. Get a network, get a Bryan, get somebody in your circle that you can go, hey, this happened and it was not fun. And know that when those things happen, you've got to be able to fall back and go, here's why I'm doing this, and the results don't change that. If you build your tribe for a certain type of results, you'll always quit it. Eventually you'll quit it. And for me, one of the dangers is if you build your tribe to receive applause from people, you give them the power to tell you when to stop. Because as long as they're clapping, you'll keep building the tribe. And when they stop clapping, they get to tell you to stop dreaming, to stop working. And that's a really powerful thing to put in somebody else's hand. So just be careful about that.
I love it. Such good advice. Thanks so much, Jon, for being here. Tyler, do you want to walk through shirtless anymore?
Pantless, sockless?
I'm on the other side now.
You're good?
I'm on the other side.
Oh, you're on the other side.
Okay.